Welcome back to Sports Time HQ. I am indeed your host for the day, joined along with my great co-hosts, Keith and, of course, Gary. Football is officially back, ladies and gentlemen, and let's hear it. How are you guys feeling?
It's good to have football back. Some pretty good games. I mean, I think we've had better week ones, but I enjoyed what we had so far. So let's hope it gets better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I didn't really remember how it felt to sit on a Sunday just for however many hours and just sit back and do nothing but watch football. But I did it, so it was great. A lot of fun. Really happy to be back.
Guys, I tell you, when you're watching a show from a foreign country at 2:15 in the morning, it is not. It's not the best feeling, you know?
That used to be my life.
Yeah.
I am now living it. Maybe 1 hour even more than what you were living it.
Yeah, one more. Why are you 6 hours?
Yeah, 6 hour difference.
5 hours, yeah.
I tell you, I just can't stay like the Ravens and Chiefs game when it got pushed back to 2:40 in the morning for me. I was like, no, I can't. I got a class in the morning. Can't do it. So I just ended up watching the highlights. So thank goodness for the highlights. Well, after week one, of course, we got to talk about some news and notes from around the league. Let's start it off. Kendrick Lamar, he headlines for the Super Bowl halftime show. Are we excited?
Not really. He's fine, but I'm sure he'll put on a good show. But it's fine.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna call in Drake.
Yeah, that would be the biggest shock to the world. I'm not the biggest Kendrick fan. I wish it was Lil Wayne, but I'm sure it'll be a good show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited always for the halftime show. But yeah, I feel like these recent ones haven't always been all that great.
Yeah.
So, some bigger news. Friday night Brazil game. I'm sure you guys watched it. I was for sure watching the whole thing overnight. But a lot of question marks on the turf being a problem. It is a soccer field, and Jordan Love, very last couple plays of the game, ends up hurting himself, spraining his MCL, and he's now out, expected to be out for 3 to 6 weeks. I know Jesse Morris, we had him on the show before. He mentioned how depending on the grade of the sprain MCL, it could be either like a 2 to 4 week recovery, 3 to 6, or even a 4 to 8 week. But again, they're saying 3 to 6 weeks. This is a big blow for not only the Packers fans, the team, and also fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, Reed just put up a 33-point monster game for fantasy, and now you just probably can't play him. He's probably, out of all of them, he's the one you'd chance, but I mean, I'd stay away from all the Packers receivers now with Malik Willis going in. But yeah, it's a massive blow. By the time he's back, who knows? The Packers could be out of contention. So yeah, it's a shame because it was like on the second last play or something. So
yeah, it's definitely rough and just bad timing. As you mentioned, it was like the second last play of the game. So just something that shouldn't have happened. Fortunately, it did, and gonna have to move on, unfortunately. But I think this injury is definitely going to push the Packers out of contention.
Okay.
I don't really see
Malik Willis believers.
Not at all. I really don't see a world where he can, keep him up to par. Maybe competitive for a few games, but I think they're going to lose a lot. Really unfortunate because I love Jordan Love and I love what the Packers got, but it's going to have to wait.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Willis should have been able to at least get the ball thrown up in the air, chuck it up.
That was pretty sad.
It's gonna be more.
Joe Flacco? You think Joe Flacco has a chance to go there? Trade candidate?
No, it's Tannehill, right? That's who they're looking at, I think.
Yeah. I guarantee it. Guaranteed. I guess they're going to need to upgrade if they want any chance to make it to the playoffs or at least sneak their way into the playoffs because they do have a very tough division. It's either get Ryan Tannehill or trade for a backup quarterback. Dynamic kickoff. We've finally seen the first ever kickoff return by none other than DJ Dallas, a
Mm.
former Seahawk.
Yeah.
You must be hyped.
Yep, great Seahawk.
So that's, I feel like I just need to say that. I mean, there's really nothing more to say about it, but it's a good trivia question, I tell you that. Who was the first ever player to have a kickoff return in the new dynamic rules?
It is. I just don't get it. I mean, like, I don't, like, just kick it away and go start the 30. Like, I know he got it and ran and scored, and it's great, and that's what, like, I'd rather see. But, like, from a team point of view, like, just kick it back and wait and get, let it go in the end zone and get started 30. Like, it's just, I don't really get the new rule. I want to see them out and running and stuff like that, but I'm guessing they're on about, safety, and they don't want to see it as much, maybe, but yeah, it's like just kind of a non-event for me.
I completely agree, and I think that this new thing was put in place to have more returns happen, and I feel that while the percentage-wise, I believe, was higher at the end of this week than it was last year, I just think it's a dumb rule, to be completely honest with you. I don't like that they changed the kickoff because it's something that should be so simple. And at the times that like I'm watching these games, I still like question like what exactly is going on during the kickoff. So I don't really like it. Maybe it'll grow on me later on. As of right now, I don't see it. I think that teams can be way too strategic in using it with this landing zone thing. I've seen that work out way too many times for teams where they just boot it at like right on the ground, and the other team starts at like the 15 or 10 because they can't return it as quick as they normally would. So I don't really know. I'm not a big fan of it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've touched on it multiple times in the offseason. Like, what's the point of this rule? Why are we changing it so much? But I guess we'll see about the injuries, see if the injuries are down from it at the end of the year. Some terrible news on injury-related news. Puka Nacua, the guy we always were mentioning to not draft so high because he was being so overdrafted. Well, he's paying the price to you. And if you got CMC and maybe even Puka, you're really in the hole now. Puka Nacua, he's heading to the IR, and reason for that is he did have a sprained PCL, so he will miss at least 4 weeks. Right? 4 weeks? I'm correct on that, right?
Yeah, okay.
4 weeks. And then some other news for injuries. Ramadunze, he sprained his MCL, considered week to week. Panthers defensive tackle suffered a season-ending knee injury. He is going to be out for a while, and to no surprise, the Panthers will be sucking defensive tackle Derek Brown. And yeah, I mean, what's the biggest injury I think you guys can take away from all this?
Puka or CMC not playing last night, I suppose, as to be. I know it wasn't an injury in the game, but I mean, it gave Mason a great opportunity, which he took full advantage of. But like, I suppose Nacua, because he would have been going in the first 3 rounds of drafts anyways. So and now, like, Cup was the value, and now he looks like an even bigger value. So it's probably Puka.
Yeah, I would for sure agree with Puka. I just hate. I don't know. Me personally, I hate this Rams offense because it's like Stafford like flips a coin at the beginning of the year, and it's just like if it's heads, Cup is going to be the guy that I give 15 targets a game to. If it's tails, it'll be anybody else. I just personally don't get it. I understand that Cup was hurt last year, so his production was down, but still, he was relatively healthy towards the end of the year, and he didn't really do crazy amounts of what we did see in that 2021-22 season. So I'm going to say it's Puka, but at the same time, with the way that we saw Cup play Sunday night, I wouldn't be surprised if Puka's value is just so down in the dumps.
Yeah, I mean, dynasty-wise, are you going to try and sell him maybe?
I don't think I would.
No.
I don't think I would. He's still like 23 maybe. So he's still very young. I think that I wouldn't necessarily say that Cup is on his way out, but he is on the older side. So I wouldn't really be eager to sell Nacua. I still think that when he's playing, he's a starter, wide receiver 2 flex. So, yeah, I wouldn't be very eager to move him just yet.
Okay. Okay. Some last news. Just wanted to mention quickly CMC. Gary brought this up just prior to the show. CMC, rumors has it that he's likely to miss week 2, and the sources coming from NFL Rumors on Twitter. So again, just keep an eye on that, and I'll touch on. He'll come in later on in the show why you should be picking up the backup running back for San Francisco, who may have just went off against New York Jets, who supposedly are supposed to have a good defense, but clearly didn't look like that last night. 2 other pieces of news. Deshaun Watson, accused of another case. Gary, this is your Browns team. Would you like to elaborate?
Let's go. I'm so happy. Yeah, I don't really know. It's just like so many things year after year. I don't know why God needs to, make us suffer. But, yeah, another year where we're looking very cloudy. Deshaun did not look great on Sunday. Although I'm not giving the biggest burden on him because that offensive line couldn't stop me from getting to him in the backfield. So I'm not going to, just absolutely demolish him, especially after week 1. It's whatever. But, yeah, I really don't know what to think. As for the lawsuit goes, I don't know if you guys have read up on it. It seems kind of fishy to me. I just don't really get it, I guess, especially the window that it took for her to report it. It's very fishy to me, and I don't really like it. But I did see that there's a potential option for us to completely void his contract, which I don't think that we would do. But if that's a route that we ended up
Might
going,
as well do it now.
Jameis season.
I mean, yeah, if we went down that route, to be completely honest with you, the point where I'm at, man, I really wouldn't even care. Because you know what? Let's just ride Jameis. If we end up being really bad, let's just hopefully strike in the draft and see what we can do, I guess.
Can I just point out that the 2 worser teams that are on this podcast are undefeated currently to a team that was just in the playoffs last season?
I'm not going to disagree with you, but Bengals week 1 is probably worse than a Pee-wee football team. I don't even remember who the Seahawks played. They play the Commanders?
Denver.
Is that Denver, right?
No,
I don't even need to talk about that. We played the regular season Merchants, so I'm not really worried about it. It happens, but we'll talk at the end of the season. Maybe that'll be a little bit different.
Hey, Dak Prescott, speaking of regular season merchant, Dak Prescott got signed to a big deal, major contract. Well, I guess he is going to be the future. And there was a meme I saw about Jerry Jones seeing Shedeur Sanders choking in his week 1 college football game. And he's like, all right, let's pay Dak Prescott then.
I mean, still not worth being the highest paid player, but yeah, sure.
No.
It's nice for Dak.
Yeah.
Biggest postseason choke. Lastly, Tyreek Hill's incident. A lot of things happened on Sunday or Thursday, whatever day it was, Sunday. So much news came out over the weekend just prior to Sunday's games. But Tyreek Hill, he was arrested for a moment of time, did manage to go to the game and play, suit up. And, one of his touchdown celebrations was him being put into handcuffs by Jalen Waddle, which was pretty funny to see. But nonetheless, the video body footage cam did get released. If you haven't done so, go check it out on YouTube somewhere. It's somewhere there, TikTok, whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, to me, and Keith, you and I talked about it before the show, it kind of just looked like both sides were in the wrong and it just escalated way too quick than what it should have. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Tyreek helped himself initially by not pulling down the window, and then the cops obviously just got, annoyed about it. So it didn't look great on some of the cops. I know they had I seen one cop had his knee in his back and stuff like that. If we're going down that road again, you're in trouble. So yeah, it didn't look great from either side. Something that could have been avoided, and I don't think the players coming over, like Calais Campbell and some others, helped the situation either. I mean, if the guy was speeding, then the cops have a right to pull him over and talk to him, do whatever. But yeah, everything else that went on was wasn't needed.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, Tyreek definitely didn't help himself out, but I think it's for sure crazy to be put in handcuffs for a traffic stop. If you're speeding, then you're gonna get caught probably, and you just gotta pay whatever price it is. But yeah, definitely a crazy situation because I remember seeing that tweet come on my phone at like 11:30 or whatever it was, and I'm like, all right, well, this guy's out, and sure enough, he wasn't, and then he scored an 80-yard touchdown. So
Yeah.
crazy.
What a wild scene of events for him. And then Calais Campbell almost also got arrested at that point too. I mean, the officer almost arrested him for not showing his ID, just for pulling over and making sure everything was okay. I think there's 2 officers currently that are suspended on admin leave currently. So just keep an eye out on the situation. Obviously, Miami and Mike McDaniel already posted everything, but yeah. You guys got any more news and notes around the league before we jump into it?
I think I'm good for now.
All right, let's get into it. Waiver wire quarterback ads of the week. This is the first time week 1, and guess what? This is going to be for 17, 18, whatever weeks we got, maybe forever, who knows. But QB waiver wire ads of the week. I'll start with my guy who I was mentioning is a late round steal. A guy who finished as quarterback 10 last season. This is Baker Mayfield. He finished week 1 as the QB2, only 1.5 points shy of Josh Allen. Baker's not going anywhere, and after week 1, you kind of see that the Buccaneers look like they're going to be NFC South favorites again after Atlanta and Kirk Cousins just didn't do what they were hoping to do against Pittsburgh. But if you lost Jordan Love, I posted it on social media just prior to the games saying that you got to go pick up Baker Mayfield for the rest of the season. And I think he is a guy that if you need quarterback help, he is probably the best quarterback off the waivers right now. You can get him, but he's going to fly off the shelves from the waiver store. So you got to go get him. Oh, and by the way, the Browns are cursed, Watson's washed, and Mayfield shines.
You just had to throw that in.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Baker looked good, to be fair. I think he's definitely one going forward. He's just like gunslinging happy. Like him and Mike Evans were just like hooking up. Like it was, tomorrow. Same with Godwin, to be fair. They put Godwin back in the slot and he looks a lot better. And he's a lot better for fantasy too. You're going to have your down weeks with Baker because he has them weeks where when something goes wrong, he kind of finds it hard to get out of a rut. So that will happen, but I think for now, I think you're pretty safe with Baker.
Completely agree. Good pick, Freddie. Definitely would have been mine had you not taken him. But he looks good. It sucks. I'm happy for him. Obviously sucks because he was a Brown at one point, but I think people forget that our quarterback position was and still is what needed to be improved. Unfortunately, we thought we did it with Deshaun. Haven't really seen it yet, but he was our downfall in whatever year it was, 2020, 2021, the year after we went to the playoffs. We were expecting big things from him, and he went for like 22 picks or something like that and not a lot of yards. So he didn't really look that great. We moved on from him. It sucks because I did really like Baker. I had a lot of faith in him. Maybe a change of scenery was all I needed because right now he looks really good.
I tell you, the Texans are so excited to have gotten rid of Watson and given to you.
I'm sure.
I liked Watson with the Texans, to be fair, though. Like
I did too.
He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was a beast.
Yeah. I don't know. Like you said, talking about him quick, like the offensive line was absolute trash. So you put anyone behind there, like Mahomes or whatever, he still wouldn't be doing well.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe I don't know. These lawsuits got to his head at one stage, and then the injuries and stuff like that. Like I don't think he's not running as much that he used to as well.
Yeah.
Like he is staying in the pocket a lot longer. Maybe he just needs to get back on the outside and run a bit more. But he has to be still talented. He's not like he's old or anything.
Honestly, another thing is our wide receivers create absolutely no separation. Watching these guys run routes is like just very disgusting. Besides Cooper, these guys are glued to D-backs. So it's like what's he really going to do?
Yeah,
That's why
Njoku was probably his best, target there until he got hurt.
So
Did you see Cooper roll his eyes after hearing one of the plays that was getting called from the sideline?
I did. Yep, I did.
Did you see? Was it Bit Antonio on the ground?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah. And Watson went to help him up, and he just said no.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, I did see it. Yeah.
Brutal out there for Browns fans. I wonder who they are. They need some help. Keith, you're up.
I went with a homer pick, Gino. I mean, he didn't do the Seahawks as a whole didn't do anything in the first half. So basically, he had like over 170 yards, a touchdown in the second half. I mean, the very first play of the game, he throws that interception, which is terrible, and I'm sitting there going, "Uh-oh, we're in trouble." But he still scored over 18 fantasy points. Like I said, the offense only played for one half, so if they can put it all together against the Pats, I know you'll be hoping they won't do it, Fernando, but if they can do it, I think he can get you more than 18 points, since that's what he got this week, playing basically one half football. So I think as a stream option, he's pretty good this week.
Don't mind it. I remember last year I was pretty high on him. I took him like as my backup quarterback and was potentially thinking of plugging him in a few times. Last year was definitely a little bit of his down year. After that miraculous year he had the year before that.
Yeah.
Maybe he can get back to that a little bit, and definitely a solid streamable option.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's definitely a good streaming option. Not a guy I'm jumping on the waivers for. But again, you got to see the matchups. Again, you said New England next week. I mean, they do have what looks to be a really good defense again this season. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, because if Geno Smith can ball out against New England, then maybe he can be a guy that you can go pick up off the waivers for sure next week.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots defense looked pretty good, but the Bengals were horrible on every aspect. Offense, defense, special teams. I mean, if you wanted a week one, like just not go well on any, point in the ball, like look at that Bengals game and just say, like, the defense couldn't get near Ramondre. I mean, he has something like 118 yards after contact. It was crazy.
I was so aggravated watching that game because I'm sitting there with Burrow's my quarterback in two of my big money leagues, and I'm like, okay, he's getting in the red zone every single time, and then nope, here comes a turnover, and then the only touchdown they score is Zach Moss, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it was just a very, very sloppy game from the early season deviled Bengals. It's just it happens every year. I think they're 2-10 under Zach Taylor or something like that, whatever it was. The first 2 weeks are just terrible, or week ones, I don't know.
Whoever told that guy Hudson to come back out on the field after he basically was just had to put the ball over the line, and then there was another easy reception close, and he dropped it. It was just like, come on, just get on the bench. Didn't go the Bengals' way anyway. We have some breaking news there, Fernando.
Breaking news, we do indeed. It looks as if Mike Tomlin might be preparing Justin Fields to start versus Denver. Russell Wilson, in quotes, says he feels better today than over the weekend. But if you're still not feeling good and you're inactive, why are you in uniform? In full pads.
With pads on.
With pads. That's all I got. That was the only other.
There's another guy who's been great for fantasy, but not been great in real life. That's definitely a matchup you could target Fields for if you're looking to stream.
Especially after Geno Smith balled out.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't my guy for sure, but I will mention him. If Fields is there, then pick him up, because I think he's got a really favorable matchup next week. He did not look great on Sunday, but he threw some deep balls to Pickens that I was actually pretty happy about. Obviously, everybody knows him as a runner, so he's going to give you that high fantasy upside. So if he's there, take a stab at him. My pick, I just went with Derek Carr. I mean, this quarterback waiver wire position is not really good outside the first top 2 or 3 guys. Derek Carr, maybe it's just because he played against the Panthers, but he looks good. Didn't really make any mistakes, had 3 touchdowns. Big one to Shaheed. He, for some reason, every other week finds like a 50 to 60 yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. I don't really understand.
All the time.
I don't understand what's going on there. But hey, if that home run play is there, then maybe that's a guaranteed 10 points or whatever. So I think that the Saints team, they definitely have some guys that can make Derek Carr look better than he really is. Chris Olave is the obvious number one wide receiver there. He's a stud. And as I already mentioned, Shaheed is a home run type player. So if he has those shots, that's a fantasy dream waiting to happen. Derek Carr, I think he's only owned in 14% of the league. So if he's out there, if you're really scraping the bottom of that barrel, take a stab at him. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think if Carr can produce what he did with Carolina against Carolina, then by all means, go get him. But other than that, I think I'm staying away from him this week only because he faced probably one of, if not the worst team in this league besides the New York Giants.
Understandable.
Yeah. Man, before I get into it, like I think for like the first waiver wire week, I think it's terrible. I think there's a couple of like, ones that you have to go get, and then after that it's all, a mishmash of everything. Like so yeah, I can see these are probably the best guys, I think, in my opinion, that we've mentioned. Obviously we threw in Fields as well. What we just know now. But yeah, Carr, it's not looking like a good matchup, but I mean, he could be serviceable if you're stuck, especially in deep leagues. You need someone on super flex. I think he can be serviceable. But yeah, like he wouldn't. I don't think he's going to light it up or anything like he did against the Panthers. But yeah, he'll definitely do a job.
And of course, I do want to do a little side mention that because this guy did really terrible in week 1, he must be doing good in week 2, and that's Taysom Hill, right?
Well, the quarterback, running back, tight end, whatever else he wants to be. Player.
Wide receiver, everything, all of the above. Yeah. But Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, our waiver wire quarterback ads of the week. And we gave you a bonus in Justin Fields. If he is officially going to start against Denver, he's a good guy to also go get. Let's get into the running backs. And I know one person that really wants to talk about their running back. So we'll just let him take over in this conversation.
Can I take a victory lap now? since everybody said J.K. Dobbins sucked. I mean, okay, it's 1 week, but like 135 yards and a touchdown on 7 attempts. Other than not really having the gas, I thought he looked fantastic. For a guy who's had some serious injuries, he's back. Can he keep it up? That's the big thing. I mean, but right now you have to favor him over the Gus Bus and Gus Edwards. Like, to me, it's J.K. Dobbins or nothing else. Harbaugh said he was going to go with the hot hand, and it's clearly Dobbins. So, yeah, you'll always have that kind of injury factor there. Like, will he go down again? But you could say that for a lot of players these days. So, I mean, I think he's one of the top ads at the running back position over someone else who will be brought up, I think. But yeah, like I'm happy to see that Dobbins is back. I know you guys are happy as well because I know Gary, you were a big fan. But and it was just looking, unlikely that we'd see this again. But I mean, he couldn't have given us more in week 1.
Yeah, no, completely agree. J.K. Dobbins is still super, super talented. I love him so much. I'm so glad that he had that week 1 on Sunday. I hope and pray that he can continue to do it because when he plays, he's an absolute stud. I think he averages like 6.5 yards a carry for his career. So obviously, once he touches the ball, he does magical things. But I hate saying this. I just know the injury's coming. I know it, and I don't want it to happen, of course. But it's just, history repeats itself. I'm hoping he can stay on the field because it is a thing of beauty when he's playing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping and praying that he can stay healthy.
Hopefully it'll just be minor, right? Maybe like dislocates a finger or something. We'll take that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Dobbins looks all right,
Here we go.
JK. No, he looks good. He looks really good. I was surprised, but again, this guy is a really good running back coming out of college. Of course, he faced those injuries. It's only I'm on Gary's boat. You like J.K. Dobbins, you want him to succeed, but man, all it takes that one injury once again, and then J.K. Dobbins' season could be over. So, Keith, take the victory lap in week 1. We'll circle back maybe in week 2.
Yeah,
but
all gone downhill.
He's up here right now. After next week, it's way down here.
I'll even take if he just gets 5 points next week once he doesn't get injured.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, overall, it's not a bad pick. It's probably one of the best in the waivers this week for now.
Yeah, certainly agree. My guy is Alexander Madison. I think he's only owned in 10% leagues. The real reason why I have him here is just his the amount of snaps that he saw. 60% of snaps. I wasn't really expecting him to see that much. I'm a big Zamir White fan, so kind of upset with how he played week 1. But Madison got the best end of it, catching a touchdown. So maybe he sees more of the split carry role. I wouldn't really expect it, but like I said, he's seeing 60% of snaps and he produced in it. So if you're really, out there for a guy just for running back depth, then maybe he's a guy that you'd want to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Madison is he had his chance last year and he didn't shine. So, like, if you're like yourself, Gary, and me, Zamir White fan, I wouldn't panic yet because there's still plenty of time. But the thing is, I think they will go with the hot hand initially. So, like, Madison is the guy, and he is a good guy to go on waivers, I think, right now. Especially, like, running backs are thin as it is, and we all know there's going to be injuries down the line, so it's just going to get less and less. So, he is a good guy to get, but, I think he's probably burnt a few people after last year when he had his chance to be the number one. So, I think White still has a chance to get back in there, but definitely a good guy to go and get for depth.
Yeah, I mean, White's a guy that I was very into last year, very intrigued on, and then this year kind of fell off a little bit. I mean, this could be another committee type of team where it could see who's really the hotter hand, like we saw in Los Angeles for the Chargers with J.K. Dobbins. Madison could do really good this week, and he might switch roles with Zamir White next week. So that's my only concern, because personally, I still think as well White is the better back than Madison. He had all the time in the world last year and didn't really produce, and everyone in fantasy was really upset with him. And I think they're going to try and go up into the waivers, try and get him, and they might be disappointed again. Yeah. Before we go on to my guy, can we just talk about how Mr. Devin Singletary wasn't all that bad?
What did he get this week?
9.2 fantasy points, 4 receptions, 15 yards. He only had 10 rushing attempts. But let's be real. The Giants are so horrendously bad that, I mean, Daniel Jones needs to go.
He needs to go a long time ago.
It's almost like I factored in how bad the Giants are to come out with my expected outcome of how Singletary is going to do this season.
He's still going to do good. Just trust me. Singletary's here right now. So J.K. Dobbins is here right now.
Okay.
And it's going to be completely reversed by the end of the season.
Let me ask you this, Freddie. If the New York Football Giants are playing like that against your guy lists, JJ McCarthy lists, Vikings, at home on a whatever anniversary, special jerseys, whatever, and they lost 28-6 or whatever the score was. I don't know. They were getting blown out the entire game. You expect me to think that if they play better opponents, he's gonna do better than that? Why? That makes absolutely
because he has a chance. He just trust me. They're gonna make some changes. Things will get changed. Devin Singletary will be relevant. Can we just talk about Jaylen Warren? Let's bring him up. How did he do last week?
Oh no, I'm not gonna disagree.
Trash. Listen, 4 points.
Listen, I'm gonna sit here and say that he did bad. That's the difference between me and you.
Think that Keith is currently leading in our running back prediction, ADP prediction.
Oh, am I with Chase Brown?
With what?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Chase Brown, right? Yeah.
Right. I wasn't JK. For some reason, I keep thinking it was JK.
No. So I'm
Thank goodness it wasn't JK.
It's Chase
How
Brown.
did Chase Brown do? Oh, sorry.
You're winning.
5.3. So I'm winning. So sorry. I take it all back. Who is currently winning in the running backs?
Here we go.
Okay, it's okay. We're just slow starters. We'll get there.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, like, your best chance of a Singletary going off is that Germany game against the Panthers that nobody will probably watch. So you want to hope he stays healthy till then.
I literally have the chance to go there. Why in the world, though, do I
Yeah.
want to spend money to go watch
That's
the
about to say.
bottom trash teams in the NFL?
I wouldn't even want to go to a bar to watch that and waste money on beer.
Like, honestly, it's so bad.
Yeah,
But let's talk about a better team, and that's San Francisco and Mr. Jordan Mason. He is my running back waiver ad of the week. I mean, he looked phenomenal. I mean, that guy was lights out. I mean, he literally looked like Christian McCaffrey, just not Christian McCaffrey. But he's a guy that you need to handcuff in all leagues. I mean, he's probably going to be the best handcuff. And who would have thought the pick 101 CMC would be out week 1? Unfortunately, that ended up happening really just prior to the game happening. And rumors had it that Jordan Mason, he said he found out on Friday. And then all of a sudden, then media was talking to Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan said, I never said that to him. And then afterwards, the media then pressed him, Jordan Mason, again during post-game, and seemed like Jordan Mason was upset, which may have resulted in him getting in trouble. I hope that doesn't relate to him getting lesser playing time. Obviously, coaches can be fussy and mad and, sometimes hold you accountable. But just watch CMC this week. If he's limited, if he doesn't practice, this could lead to another Jordan Mason start, which means that Jordan Mason should, again, do phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, he is the top running back pickup this week. It looks like short week CMC, I don't think plays this week. And even when he does come back, I can't see CMC getting the full workload with what Jordan Mason's on. I think he's going to be mixed in some capacity. Also gives, McCaffrey more time. At least they know, who knows, he could miss week 3 too, because they know what they have in Jordan Mason once he stays healthy. So definitely a top pickup. I feel bad for the dude. The guy said, they found out on Friday. They definitely screwed something up there. I think the Niners will be hit with a fine there because it was definitely something going on. But the top pickup this week at running back, it's Mason.
Mm-hmm. This is obvious. If anybody watched the game last night, then you would know that he's clearly talented. He went off. Definitely the guy that you're going to want to get. Reminds me of Browns Dearness Johnson. If you guys also get that sense, I don't know.
Yeah.
That game against the Broncos, he popped off like 200 yards or whatever it was, and he did it against the New England Patriots as well. So it's just like that sense where, he's a backup and he's a very, very talented guy, but he's not going to get a shot anywhere else, which sucks. It's terrible. But he looks good. The obvious top choice at the RB position.
Appreciate it, guys. Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, and Alexander Madison, our 3 running back waiver wire ads of the week. Let's get into the wide receivers. And Gary, we'll start with you. You already mentioned him earlier in the show. And I think he's got himself a good quarterback that you like as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is a guy that I mentioned earlier. It's Rashid Shaheed. He, like I said, he somehow manages to find a 50 to 60-yard touchdown every other week. A guy that, if you want to gamble with, definitely a guy that you can plug in and play. He's not going to give you the 12 points a week or whatever it is. In the games that he doesn't catch that home run touchdown ball, he'll probably only give you 5 or 6. But he definitely has, I guess, the potential upside. I have Carr as my pickup of the week of the quarterback position. So if you're intrigued by what you saw against the Trash Panthers, then maybe you could get more plays like that out of him. Only 44% owned, and he's honestly not a bad wide receiver anyways. So Rashid Shaheed.
I actually like him. I think he's a great wide receiver. Again, you getting Derek Carr in the waivers, I mean, it's kind of the stack that you want. If it's Shaheed, if he's going to produce and if he's going to ball out. The only concern is Olave, obviously there. It's just a question on, is Olave going to be back to himself this next week, or is Shaheed going to get some more points?
Yeah, Shaheed's like the definition of boomer bust for me,
right.
And I take the chance on him. I like it. I think him and Derek Carr have a great connection. I think a better connection than what Carr and Olave have. But yeah, like he's never going to be a guy that's going to get like 5, 6, 7, 8 targets. It's always 2 or 3, but one of them is a big bomb, like you said, guy for like 60 yards, and that's how he gets most of his points. So they're the type of players though that will win you leagues and win you big weeks. So like he's definitely a guy to go out and get. I don't think he should be on the waiver wire because we can see what potential he has.
Yeah, he's definitely a good possible flex option in my opinion.
Yep, definitely. Yeah.
My guy is a guy who had his quarterback finally back and maybe lasted finally more than 4 plays, but didn't look good still. That's Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard, he's only 2% owned, so this guy, you can get him basically anywhere, any of your leagues. 26.9 fantasy points this past week. The Rodgers and Lazard connection's back. He finished as the wide receiver 3 this past week. Do want to mention, though, the last drive, he did earn 10.3 fantasy points. But you bring it back to the 16.6 points he would have had prior to that last drive, he still would have finished as a top 15 wide receiver. Wilson will, again, eat up the target share from Lazard, but they both ended with 6 targets each. Now, if Rodgers continues on, it could be the Garrett Wilson and Allen Lazard show moving forward, and both of them could be fantasy relevant for the rest of the season. Also, keep in mind that Lazard is also gotten 4 red zone targets, 3 of them being in the end zone.
Yeah, I like this call, especially when Mike Williams was out there but wasn't getting targeted at all. He just did nothing. So I was interested to see how that was going to play out. But, you've got the connection there between Rodgers and Lazard from Green Bay, which helps big time. I thought Lazard was in trouble early on when he dropped that easy pass because Aaron Rodgers has been known not to go back to, receivers that don't catch easy passes. But, I mean, they're obviously friends. They go way back. I think this is a sneaky play. I think most people thought Tyler Conklin was going to offer a bit more at the tight end position, and that didn't happen. So I think Lazard's still going to be very involved in this offense. So it's a good pick.
Completely agree. They have that Green Bay connection that clearly translated over to New York. Caught 2 touchdowns last night. Wouldn't be surprised if those might be his only few touchdowns for a few weeks. But, hey, if you're looking for a guy that you desperately need to potentially give you 10 points, might not be the worst guy to get.
And again, if any of your guys aren't even on the waivers, this guy most likely will be with only 2% owned.
True.
Yeah, definitely.
Keith, who are you cooking up as your wide receiver out of the week?
I mean, he's not like a sexy name or anything, I suppose, but it's Brandon Cooks. I mean, 7 targets, 4 catches. He got the touchdown, 40 yards, over 14 fantasy points. He's always just a solid guy. He's always a guy you can just put in your flex and you kind of just let him do his thing. And he always gets 10 plus points. Ferguson going down, I think, is going to help him. They need he is the out and out wide receiver 2, I think, in this team after CD. And, he's on a lot of waiver wires. I think a lot of people just look at him and go and just say, like, he's not really flashy. He's bounced around a lot of teams, but I still think he can help out your fantasy team. So I think he's one to get off the waiver wire.
Completely agree. He killed us on Sunday. I felt like he was always open, and Dak loved going to him. So definitely a guy that you'd want to look at. You mentioned it. He had 7 targets. So that's eye-popping for a wide receiver, a fringe wide receiver 1. If he's getting 7 targets a game, then that's definitely pretty good. So if you're getting that as a guy that you would think about plugging in your flex, I'm all for it. So Brandon Cooks, solid.
He's also always a guy that somehow still continues to be fantasy relevant, whatever season comes down to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and bounced around so many teams. Like, you think he'd be done by now.
Honestly, I mean, he went to New England, was on the Texans.
Rams.
Who was he on? Miami at one point?
Rams.
Maybe? Rams. I know Rams for sure. I don't know if he was on Miami, but I feel like he's been everywhere personally. But, yeah, another solid pickup. Obviously, Allen Lazard, Brandon Cooks, Rashid Shaheed, our 3 top wide receiver ads of the week. Let's go into the last one, the tight ends, the brutal position of them all. I'll start with my guy because I think my guy balled out. Isaiah Likely. This guy had 66% of the snaps. He's only 31% owned, 26.1 fantasy points, something you don't really see from a tight end unless it's like Travis Kelce or Sam Laporta, who also didn't really do as much. But he had a 12-9, 111-1 stat line. I mean, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. He caught 9 receptions on his 12 targets. Not only that, but he did almost catch that game-winning touchdown. It was so close. But he led the team in all receiving categories. And, of course, Mark Andrews, he has been dealing with an undisclosed injury over the preseason, which could have been the reason why likely success in the breakout that we saw this past week came. But if Andrews is 100%, or if the Ravens have other plans for likely this season, those are two things that you got to keep in mind, because if Andrews isn't 100%, then this is the reason why likely is doing good. If he is 100% and the Ravens want to have likely continue to be doing good, then likely is a guy that needs to be owned in all leagues, because of the fact that combined the wide receiver room had 23.4 fantasy points. That is less than just Isaiah Likely's 26.1.
Yeah, I mean, Likely is like the obvious standout here when it comes to the tight end position. The only thing I would throw in as like a caveat here, like, don't expect this every week. That offensive line was terrible, and Mark Andrews had to go in and block on the line more often than not. So, he is going to get back on the outside and start catching some balls and take away targets. But the good thing is, like you said, Fernando, the receivers are terrible. And I'm a big guy on Zay Flowers, but I really think the system does not suit him. I mean, if you look at Lamar's depth of targets, I think in the first half it was 1 yard, and it was all these like screens out to Flowers. Like, Flowers at one stage could have had 200 catches, but only had 400 yards because he wasn't exactly going anywhere. So, I mean, I think that's where Likely is going to end up nearly as a fringe wide receiver and help this team. So, the obvious target, at the tight end position, but just don't expect this every week.
That's exactly how I feel. You look at the numbers, 26 points, Likely is clearly the guy that you want to pick up if you need a tight end. But I'm personally not the biggest buyer. Just watching the Ravens, Mark Andrews is a top tight end in this league. He's obviously gonna pan out. Like, he's gonna be the guy that they look to in that tight end spot. They're not going to, say Likely's the better guy. So a little bit down the road, I definitely wouldn't think that Likely's going to do much for me. At the same time, watching that game is just so aggravating as a Zay Flowers owner, because as you mentioned, Keith, the depth of target was not great. Although he was getting catches, so PPR-wise, I was totally fine with it. What I didn't like was one play, Lamar underthrew him a lot, and that could have been like a 50-yard touchdown. And then he missed him at the end of the game, which could have been the game-tying touchdown. So that offense, as you mentioned, is kind of up in the air, which I feel like does benefit Likely, because he's a guy that's going to be in those underneath routes. But I feel like down the line, he's not really going to be a big guy for you. Right now, go get him. But down the line, I would hope that you have, Hawkinson that's going to come back later on in the season or something like that.
Hopefully. Love Hawkinson. Keith, who is your guy?
Tight end. You know how I feel about this, Fernando. Colby Parkinson, only purely because
Yes,
Parkinson,
former Seahawk.
Yeah, look, I'm on the bandwagon today. I mean, 5 targets, 4 receptions. He got 8 fantasy points. It's, again, another sexy pick. He didn't exactly get a lot of catches for the Seahawks while he was there. But this offensive line for the Rams is banged up big time, and Stafford just needs to get the ball out quick. And it looked like, Parkinson was going to be his safety net. So I think he's definitely worth a pick up if you've got one of these injuries, Ferguson and Njoku, that, you can just plug in there for a few weeks and see what happens. Higbee is still on the pup, so he's going to be out for a few more weeks. So again, tight ends, Likely was the obvious pick, but yeah, Parkinson might do a job for you.
I love it, honestly. The main reason is because I remember mentioning this weeks ago when we were talking about the news and notes. At the trade deadline, or once free agency opened, he was the first move made in the entire free agency window. The Rams signing him to what I thought was a massive contract. I don't quite remember the numbers right now, but it's clear that they're going to use him. And I agree that with the O-line being banged up, Stafford is a guy that Stafford in particular is a guy that just wants to get the ball out very quick. So Parkinson on those underneath, flat routes is a great guy to go to. Like I said, they gave him a lot of money, so I think they're going to use him a lot. And I put my waiver claims in for him in a few leagues, so good pick here.
Speaking of waiver claims, and so let's talk a little bit about the listener league. Gary, you want to talk about your team?
All right.
Team looking like the Browns out there.
I don't even remember what happened. Didn't you beat me by like a few points?
I think I beat you more than just a few points.
Okay, here we go. I
to
actually,
be exact, I beat you by 24 points, just about.
Oh yeah, you did. Now that I'm looking at it, it happens.
So,
Dak didn't really do anything. Olave went for 3 points. Evan Ingram went for 1.5 points. I mean, come on now, give me a break. Like, it's gonna change.
I'm just glad I didn't face Keith. Keith would have beat me by 6.
I was the highest score, guys. Come on now. So
sorry.
Chasing me.
Of course, the listener league running all season. Winner of that league will win a next year's entry, and of course, a free trophy provided by TrophySmack. Again, Parkinson. I love Parkinson. I think he actually looked really good, and with Puka Nacua out, I mean, this could be sky's the limit for Parkinson. Again, Keith is probably going to talk about him next week as well because he's probably going to ball out again, and he's probably still not going to be over 70% owned. So might as well go pick him up now and before he does ball out again. But I like it. I think it's a good pick as well.
It's good.
Lastly, Gary, your pick to end off the waivers.
Yeah, so you guys both mentioned it. This position is very, very bad. And just not a lot of guys that are going to pop out to you when you look at the names that you need to get off the waiver wire. I went with Tucker Kraft. He's available everywhere, only 6% rostered. The main reason is that he played almost the entire game. So 96% of snaps. Everybody thought that Musgrave was going to be the for sure tight end one guy, I guess, but clearly not. I think Tucker Kraft only had like two catches for like 37, 40 yards, whatever it was. But that's definitely intriguing for me, considering the fact that he played almost all the game, almost the entire game. Another thing that's intriguing is considering the fact that Jordan Love's out, I think that Malik Willis or whoever is going to be there is going to need a security blanket guy, and that often is a tight end. Right now, looks like Tucker Kraft's going to be the guy. So if you need a tight end and he's the only guy out there, or you just want to take a shot because he could be a guy with some upside, Tucker Kraft, I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. He was a good guy in the red zone last year. Decent bet for a touchdown, but it's one of these, like, when you look there, who else are you going to go for? Like Chiga, Conquo, all these guys. All right, yeah, but they're the exact same type of guys. If they get a touchdown, you're happy. If not, you're probably getting 4 targets, hoping you catch them all and get somewhere between 8 and 10 points. It's all kind of samey. So like I like the idea behind the Gary, like, being the safety blanket for Malik Willis, because he's going to need a guy like that. So yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I also don't hate it. He actually was looking good with Jordan Love even in. And obviously with Jordan Love now out 3 to 6 weeks, I still don't mind it because I think Malik Willis is going to struggle a lot. And he's not going to be the guy he's going to chuck it down the field. You already saw his Hail Mary. He didn't even go past the line of scrimmage. So it looks like they might have to have some check down guys, and that could be Tucker Kraft. And he looked good, so I'd give him a chance too. So we have a quick question from Timothy King. Hey guys, 14-team Superflex PPR Dynasty was offered Herbert for Caleb Williams. Gonna guess this is quarterback for quarterback, and I mean, I like Herbert personally, but value-wise in Dynasty, I'd be taking Caleb Williams.
I think I'd go with Herbert. He's not like he's old, and you're going to hope Caleb really, really improves. I did not like anything I saw from him. I get it's only one game, but I think at least you've seen. I'm a guy that would try and trade picks for production, as in guys we've seen proven in the past, and Herbert's a guy who's proven it, so I would go Herbert.
If it's 1-for-1 like this, I wouldn't accept it, just due to the fact that Me personally, I'm not a guy quick to judge. One game he looked like trash, but it happens. They still won. I think that's the upside that Caleb's getting from this, and I think he's only going to be better than what he just played, how he just played. So I personally wouldn't take this deal, especially considering the fact that Herbert's been injured in the past, and I don't think injuries are going to catch up to him or anything, but they're always something to keep an eye on. And I personally think that the Bears have been building something for future success, and I think they're only going to continue to do that. So I'm a Caleb Williams believer. I wouldn't really be quick to do this trade.
Isn't that what the Browns always have been doing, trying to build for success, and it just never happens?
Any opportunity.
Sorry, Gary.
You're on a roll today, Fernando. You're on a roll.
Sorry, Gary. Sorry, But our tight ends, Isaiah Likely, Kobe Parkinson, Tucker Kraft. Let's get into our last segment of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday night football predictions.
There's a piano.
Buffalo against Miami. The over-under 51.5 points. Keith, you're the guy that's leading right now, 2-0 in our predictions. Last week, you had the Chiefs and you picked the over, and it just so happened to smash. So, who are you taking today?
I'm going to go with Bills 24-21, and I'm going to go the under, obviously. What's the line? 51.5, did you say? Yeah. So, I'm going under. I think both teams struggled week one. I think the struggles will continue. I get the high scoring game with the Bills and the Cards, but I don't think they look great. Tua looked pretty bad. So, it's a short week. I'm going to say they both struggle, and the Bills just come out on top.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins winning 30-24. I don't know. I feel like the Bills are a very questionable team, in my opinion. So are the Dolphins. But it's in Miami, correct?
Yep.
I think that obviously favors them. Both defenses look bad. The Dolphins look better than the Bills, but the Bills started out very, very slow in that game versus Arizona. I think their offense, at least, is going to be much better considering the fact how they closed the game on Sunday. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I took Dolphins 30-24. Clearly got the over by a few points.
All right. Well, Gary, you definitely need something to go on here because you are 0-2 after last week.
Thank you.
Had to remind you.
You are just getting the guys the Browns.
Just absolutely laying into me.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Well, I'm right now in second place, 1-1. I really want to take the Bills here, but I think the Dolphins, they came back late in the game last week, and I think they're going to kind of do it again this upcoming week. 27-24 is my score. Dolphins take it, but look at the over-under, 51.5. I have a total of 51 points. I think this is a great over-under, and I think they just sneak in with the under.
I mean, don't hate anybody's picks here, but did you go both? You went both Dolphins and I went Bills.
We did.
So last week that happened and I won. So we'll keep it going.
Keith won it last year. He kind of took it ahead last year a little too much. But this year we have two opportunities to get a win and a loss with the over-under included. Again, I have 27-24 Dolphins taking the under. Keith has 24-21 Bills taking the under. And Gary has the Dolphins 30-24 taking the over. Not bad. I guess we'll see.
I just want to remind everybody, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
I guess we will.
But Fernando last year kind of never started, did you not, in this competition? So he couldn't really finish then.
Well, guys, if you haven't done so already, be sure to use code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy. They're going to match your first deposit up to $100. And again, if you're looking to still purchase a trophy, ring, or a belt, you got the whole season to do so. But go to TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. Both Gary and the Browns need a toilet bowl trophy after week 1 and everything that they've gone through. But Keith and I, we're chilling. We're staying good and we're keeping it alive. Once again, go to TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ and get yourself a trophy, ring, or a belt. Again, Underdog Fantasy Sports Time HQ. Use that code. They'll match first deposit up to $100. We're back every single week, Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll do it once again next week. And we'll see you all next Tuesday.